for the battered but proud people of the Empire State. From the financial and entertainment epicenter of New York City to the sleeping and empty small cities and towns of upstate, which once bustled with manufacturing, mining, and farming. We all know from inspiration, history, and nature, we deserve a return to the success and growth of generations past, a birthright being squandered by corruption in Albany, and the depredations of an insecure, scheming mountebank posing as governor, who loathes both us and himself. As liberty beckoned to enslaved peoples behind the Iron Curtain via American broadcasts after World War II, we now say, believe, rise, and join us. Welcome to Radio Free New York.
Hey guys, welcome to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister, and I've got Bob Savage here in the studio.
Yes, you do. 2 days left in 2019.
I know, 2 more days, and but probably a few more days of rain, it looks like.
Today and tomorrow, yeah.
Yep.
And then we'll have some snow on New Year's Day.
Yeah, rain, go away. Yeah, and no white Christmas, which, was to be expected, but I know a few people are disappointed about that. So Friday I wasn't in on the show because Friday was my birthday, and I always take my birthday off. It's the one day a year I guarantee that I'll take off. And I got a chance to work with Dave Jenkins at Rochester Personal Defense, and do a shooting course with him. Dave's been on the show a couple times. He's talked about what he does, and I've done some work with him, but not like a full class like this. Like it was a full 8-hour course. It was really cool because the class size was just really small, so there's a lot of like one-on-one attention. And I tell you what, that was the first time I've ever seen Dave do some shooting. He's a phenomenal shot.
I would imagine, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? He gets paid to do that. But yeah, no, he's an exceptional shooter. I had a blast. I actually had so much fun that I'm doing another course this upcoming weekend.
What'd you shoot?
So I shot, so it was a concealed carry basics course. So I shot, I have an honor defense firearm, which most people have never heard of before.
Was it airsoft or?
No, it's a 9mm pistol.
You have your permit, right?
No, why do we need a permit? What? No, yeah. I got my copy of the Constitution right here. Yeah,
he's messing with me.
I've got a New York State permit. I just admit it begrudgingly because I don't think we should have to have one.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's kind of like you feel sheepish about it. I feel so dirty.
Yeah.
Allowing government to have me like this.
Yeah. Asking permission from the state is not something I like to do, but I also don't like to, or imagine I wouldn't like being behind bars. So, but yeah.
I like being in front of bars, not behind bars.
Yeah, exactly. So that was a pretty good time. I got to see some family and friends. And then Saturday I went to On Target. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're out in Webster.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. I got to apply all the stuff I learned on Friday, which there was plenty of range time on Friday. I went over there, got to explore there. I'd never been there. And the indoor range was nice and warm, while it was cold outside. So the weekend was fun, and I finished it off with some rock climbing. So quite a bit of exercise.
Boy. You're very ambitious.
Yeah. Well, if I did it the other way around, I wouldn't be able to hit the target because my arms would be so jello-y. I wouldn't be able to.
I had to muster the energy level to watch the miserable Bills game yesterday.
Oh, yeah. So many people talked about it. I watch one football game a year. I watch the Super Bowl, and really I just eat snacks and hang out with friends while they watch the football. So how'd they do?
Terrible. But McDermott's in a tough spot. I mean, the game doesn't matter in terms of their playoff potential. Yeah. So it was kind of like an extra game. They did not play their starters because obviously Coach McDermott wants to keep everybody healthy for the playoffs.
Okay.
And 3 guys did get hurt during the game yesterday.
All right.
So what you want to do is keep everybody healthy and keep the team intact and then get your starters, ready to go. The bad news about that was that, they've lost 2 out of the last 3, I think it is. So now they've got to bounce back Saturday.
Yeah.
and you got to kind of flip a switch and get yourself into a winning mode. Sometimes that's hard to do, but the he could have played his stars. He could have played quarterback Allen, but at what cost?
Sure.
If Allen gets banged up, and of course the Jets would have been out to get him, no question about it. What have you done? You've shot your playoff hopes. So.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I don't follow football, but I know so many other people do, so it's good to know. So today's conversation is going to be maybe a little solemn. We're going to talk about the difference between government security theater versus actual reality. There's been some violence lately. I think it's important to talk about and talk about the different aspects of this. And
it's important to tell the truth.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And be clear, be transparent, and talk about what's working and what's not working and the change that we should see. But before we dive into that kind of very solemn subject, I wanted to give you guys a little bit of happy news, some good news. So today's story is about a blind dog who inspires a man to adopt or to pair up veterans with senior dogs at shelters that would otherwise be euthanized. So a very cool story. This organization was created because a guy came back after spending 5 years in the Navy. He was both in Iraq and Afghanistan. When he returned, this is Joel Rocky, from deployment, he wanted to focus on something that he felt passionate about, something he felt connected to. And while he was walking home one day, he actually stumbled across an old dog who was freezing in a snowstorm.
No.
Yeah. Which, I mean, you could just imagine what that would be like. He took the dog home, nursed it back to health. The dog was blind, partially deaf, and like really badly injured. And this gave him like a ton of fulfillment, working with this dog, helping bring it back to health. The dog only lived for a few more months. I mean, the dog was in bad condition, but it made him feel like he was putting love and attention and caring into someone else or another animal.
Sure.
And it kind of gave that dog like a good end to his life.
Absolutely. Sure.
And so what he realized, he kind of like flipped the switch for him. He was like, you know what? Every person and every dog, who's alive deserves something like that.
Every living creature.
Deserves somebody to care about you, give you love, this and that, if you have the ability to give it. So he started this program doing this by pairing veterans, especially people with like PTSD and other things like that, with senior dogs in shelters. They're either nearing the end of their life or at risk of being euthanized, put to sleep. So it's just like a cool thing, a cool concept, it all started with finding this dog in a snowstorm and, giving it its last few months in a positive, like built up way, when a lot of people probably would have realized, oh, this dog is mostly deaf. This dog is blind, badly injured. Maybe it should be put to sleep.
Well, one of the things about blind dogs is they, sight is a kind of a secondary acuity for them. It's not their primary sense is smell, obviously.
Yeah,
and their
absolutely.
secondary sense is hearing. Yeah. And the eyesight is, there's a lot of dogs out there, especially the older guys, who just don't really see at all.
Yeah.
They've got dogs get cataracts just like we do, and we don't do corneal implants in dogs unless you're like fabulously wealthy. Yeah. You want to drop 10 or 15 grand on corneal implant. It can be done.
Really? Wow.
But of course, obviously most people don't do that, so the dogs just kind of figure out how to navigate. Sometimes they need a little help. They'll need more help than a sighted dog will. But they do surprisingly well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I saw that story. I thought that was pretty cool because I do feel that, especially with animals, there's this, we'll just put to sleep culture, and not.
Well, yeah, that's disposable. The dog's disposable, and it's too much trouble.
Yeah.
You don't get a dog if you're, if you regard a dog as an inconvenience ever when they're sick or when they're misbehaving or when they're just, being goofy like dogs do. Don't get one.
Yeah, it's just probably not the right fit for you. So that was a cool
plant.
Story. Yeah, get a plant. They've got a lot of those too. They take a lot less effort too. A little bit of water here and there, sunshine.
Oh, I'll kill them. I kill them every time.
Oh yeah, there you go. All right, guys. Well, this is Radio Free New York. We're going to take a brief brief break here. When we come back, we're going to talk about security theater. What does that even mean? I'll tell you guys about it when we come back on Radio Free New York.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Hi, Bob Savage here for the WYSL station. So times are tight, and you've got to watch every penny. How to get maximum advertising impact without shelling out maximum bucks? Well, there's print media. Of course, there's a reason why it's called the incredible shrinking daily paper. Then there are those penny savers and shoppers, 98% of which hit the recycling bin without ever being opened. And are you really looking for customers who are shopping for used tires and playpens? You could try cable TV, 500 channels, 12 viewers per channel. Or how about hiring some guy in a day-glow orange wig to dance holding up your sign down at the corner? If you want real advertising impact with a quality message for savvy consumers who actually have money to spend, WYSL has a giant 20,000-watt signal and 2 FM channels at 92.1 and 95.5, covering 1.4 million people all over Rochester and the region, literally all the way to Pennsylvania. Get results, save time and money. Call us, get on board, and start growing for 2020. 346-3000 or WYSL1040.com.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best
coming back.
And when building or updating your web.
Hey, don't forget, Dolphins beat the Patriots. That's a plus.
Achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
All right. Welcome back to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister. I want to give you guys all a shout out who are listening to the show. Those of you who are online on all the various streaming services, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. I see Drew's in the comments saying hello. Hello, Drew. Thanks for joining us. And of course, all of our friends on the airwaves from all over Western New York and the Southern Tier. Thanks for joining us here on the show. And if you're listening right now and you've got a comment or you've got a question, feel free to call into the show. That's 585-346-3000 or hop on Facebook or YouTube. Just type in Andrew C. Hollister. You'll see the live stream here. You can comment right on your phone, from your laptop, your desktop, whatever. It'll pop up here on the screen, and I'll try to address it throughout the show. And also, if you listen to the show, whether you listen to it on air or you listen to it online, chances chances are you might have a social media account somewhere. Maybe it's Facebook, maybe it's Twitter, maybe it's something else. If you listen to an episode and you think, I've got a family member who could really benefit from hearing this, or this guy at work who maybe doesn't see things the same way, find the episode, share it on social media. Give them the chance to hear about the conversation in a non-confrontational way. And maybe it opens up some discussions. Maybe they hear and go, maybe that makes some sense, or maybe not. Who knows?
Give them something to think about.
Yeah, absolutely. So today's discussion is about government security theater and the differences between that and reality. And some of you maybe have never heard of security theater before. Actually, the first time I heard the term was a conversation I was having with Larry Sharp, who ran for governor of New York in 2018. Him and I were, I think, in New York City maybe when we were talking about it. And he was like, yeah, New York City's just full of security theater. I was like, security theater? What is security theater? He's like, it's all theater. It's all show. It's all, play. There's these things that don't make you any safer, but it makes you feel safer.
A false sense of security.
Yeah, absolutely. So things that are security theater could be anything from unarmed security guards, which maybe there can be some security there, but probably not. The big thing in New York City is doormen. I guess that didn't exist pre-September 11th. There was no such thing as, doormen in these apartment areas and stuff.
Well, they were doormen, but they were at really high-end facilities.
Yeah, more of like, I don't want to call them like a butler, but, it's
they're doormen. They're a uniformed guy, sits at the desk, and you have to sign in.
Yep.
And he gives the fisheye to anybody who comes into the facility, and if he thinks if you don't look right, he doesn't let you in, at least theoretically, because they're unarmed, these guys.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is how secure are these? I mean, some of the guys I met that were doormen, I mean, I'm sure they're great doormen, but they looked elderly and frail, and
they mostly are. Yep.
Yeah, wouldn't be able to put much of a fight if somebody actually wanted to go in and hurt somebody. Glass doors, and I'm not talking about the nice thick ones. I'm talking about the ones you get from Home Depot for your front door for some reason. Things like metal detectors, and then there's other things that are security theater as well, in my opinion, and everybody's opinion could be different on this. I think things like background checks are really security theater for the most part.
Gun-free zones.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, guns shoot people. Sure. They're very shooty. Mm-hmm. These projectiles come out of them. So if we just outlaw all the guns, that'll stop all the violence.
Yeah, and that actually pulls up the next one, which is legislation. Legislation is probably the biggest piece of security theater we have and we experience as people in the United States. And right now, it's unfortunate because I've got a fair amount of friends in Europe. My wife being from there, and the people in Europe laugh at us here in New York because they have less guns and more firearm freedom than we do. And they think it's hilarious. They're like, you're from the United States and you can't own that? You can't carry that? They're like, I can go to the store right now and get this. And, so I see people all the time, well, if we had better gun control like Europe, no, they're laughing at us over there.
Yeah, the Europeans have they've had a long history of laughing at us, unless it's June 6th, 1944. Then they're not laughing at us.
Sure.
But I digress. If you really want to go to school, you really want to learn something about kind of the trajectory that we're on and what's happening to society in the U.S., talk to somebody from the former Soviet Union. Yep. Talk to somebody who grew up in Ukraine or in Russia or in Georgia and or in your case, the Czech Republic. Talk to these folks and ask what they think about the political left in this country.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yep. Well, I will say my wife's mother would constantly get upset with young people in the United States because she lived through communism. They got their independence, I think it was 1990. So very, very recent. The most boring revolution ever, though. I mean, there was like no bloodshed or anything. But that would be great. It was like the only instance in history that ever happened. But she would constantly say, these American children, they don't know what they're asking for.
No,
they have no idea.
No, well, they're being brainwashed, of course, by public education and by higher education in this country, by essentially communists. And these are communists, mind you, who never lived under communism.
Yeah.
Because communists, as Yolanda, I'm sure, can tell you, these are anybody who's had to live under a communist regime is no longer a communist.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are disabused of that notion.
No, it's true. And to that point, in Prague, there's actually a museum of communism. And there is nothing good or positive in there. I went, I think about 2 years ago was the first time I went, and was just, firsthand account from people who were still alive when that museum was created, And so this last time around, when I went to Prague, I brought a couple of friends, and we all went to the museum. So I've spent probably 4 hours in that place at this point, and every time I learn something new, and none of it's good. It's just not good. So the only thing that Yolanda's mother ever says was good about communism is she says the only one thing was that they wanted extremely healthy people, so they forced healthcare on you. You had no choice.
But the healthcare sucks, though.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. In her opinion, the healthcare was better. That's her opinion. But
better than what?
Better than what she experienced here in the U.S.
What?
Yeah. But from her perspective, I think the reasons were different. And for example, she said, well, every week, the nurse would come into the classroom. Everybody had to have their vaccine that week. Everybody had to take their medicine that week. And the nurse physically inspected each child every single week.
That's totalitarianism, though.
Yeah. So in her opinion, it was better, right? But from the perspective of me and you and probably many of the listeners, we're like, I don't want to be forced to take medicine if I'm not sick, just in case.
By the government?
I don't know that I want a physical examination every week.
Do you want a vaccine that was made in a communist country? I sure as hell wouldn't. But, oh, my gosh. What's in that thing,
Yeah, who knows? But from her perspective, everything about communism was awful and terrible except for that. So that was the thing that she said. I feel like it was better, but she would never go back to it, and that was always very clear. She would never want to live in communism again, and neither would anybody else who I've met who has actually lived in a communist country. So, yeah, so that was kind of got off track a little bit, but that's okay. So,
no, it's okay because I think that the point is well made. Young people have no idea what they're talking about when they talk about how the evils of capitalism. Yeah. Well, just because you didn't get your way, capitalism is to blame for that.
Yeah. Well, and that I think is something important to say is there is such a thing as winners and losers. That is life. And, when you look at something like communism, people are like, well, everybody can win with communism. It's like, no. What happens is everybody loses with communism, except for the people on the tippy top. It's like a pyramid scheme.
The ruling class. So that's what the leftists are trying to erect in this country. They're trying to erect a ruling class of government administrative elites with a cheering section known as the media.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is no good. It won't lead to anywhere. And the thing that's kind of funny about it is people who are anti-capitalist often say, well, look at these rich companies and these billionaires and this and that. It's like with communism, you still have that. It's just the rich billionaires are now, the people running government, and you're all poor together, you have the lines for the food, and things like that.
Yeah, the lousy food that's made by the crony capital government, of food organizations and stuff. I'm telling you, I've had the experience. I was in Venezuela 15 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And I want you guys to know, Venezuela, at that point, this is pre-Maduro, pre-Chavez.
Yeah.
Looked like Western New York. It did. You wander around this Venezuelan city, and there's people driving late model SUVs. They're all eating at outside cafes, and they're going to the movies. They're going to the mall. And now they're cooking the cat for dinner.
Yeah, if they can find a cat to eat at this point. So, all right, guys, you're listening to Radio Free New York. We're going to take a brief break here. When we come back, we're going to talk about reality versus government security theater. We'll be back in a moment on Radio Free New York.
The power. WYSL. More powerful FM 92.1, FM 95.5 West, and 1040 AM WYSL Avon Rochester.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center. We're looking at widespread showers for today with temperatures in the 50s for the high. We'll continue to see some showers for tomorrow. It looks like lake effect snow showers off of the lake. Not looking at a lot of snowfall in the forecast, but definitely going to be falling as you step outside for New Year's Eve. New Year's Day, starting off with some flakes, and then it looks like we have the sunshine returning to the forecast for Thursday. This is Samantha LaRocca for WYSL.
This is Dom Genova, owner of Genesee Valley Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Genesee Valley Ford in Avon, your no-nonsense car dealer. Looking for a good used car? You know what's typical. Lots of hype in the ads, car lots with tons of cars you have to pick through like produce from yesterday's flea market, no guarantee of quality, and commission salespeople trying to make you pay more. But it doesn't have to be that way. At Genesee Valley, we're your no-nonsense used car dealer too. We take pride in our used cars and trucks just the same as our new. You never have to pick over lesser quality cars and trucks because we won't offer them. And what's more important, our non-commissioned salespeople will help you get into the right vehicle for you at the right payment for your family. Genesee Valley Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Genesee Valley Ford, your no-nonsense used car dealer.
Genesee Valley.
Exit 10, Route 390 in Avon.
GeneseeValley.com.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Dear Dr. Sussman.
Dear Dr. Sussman, I just wanted to write to all the wonderful people who work with Dr. Sussman and Dr. Pogel at the Center for Cosmetic Dentistry.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Each person in the office made me feel my smile.
Not only am I completely happy with my smile, but I feel you've been there for me with all my dentistry
I've
needs.
had several dentists in my life, but never a dentist of your caliber. You have state-of-the-art.
You keep current in your field as evidenced by your numerous diplomas and certificates, and your entire staff is really the cream
I'm
of the crop.
thrilled with the outcome of your skills and artistry. It's made such a difference in my life.
Dr. Sussman, Dr. Pogel, and the entire staff at the Center for Cosmetic Dentistry take great pride in providing not only advanced dental care, but extraordinary cosmetic dentistry. They love what they do and have a partnership with their patients toward long-term dental health.
For a bright, confident, beautiful smile.
Thank you, Dr. Sussman.
Thank you, Dr. Pogel.
Thank you.
Change your life, change your smile.
For more information, call the Center for Cosmetic Dentistry at 22 Smile or visit 22-smile.com.
Hi, Tom Hamilton here, president of Hamilton Wealth Management located in Pittsford, New York. If you have more than $250,000 in savings and investments, and you've been wondering if your investments are really being handled properly, well, then it's time to at least get a second opinion.
To meet with Mr. Hamilton, call 585-381-9870 or go to HamiltonWealthManagement.com. Advisory services offered through Wealth Plan Partners. Securities offered through Securities America, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Hamilton Wealth Management and Securities America companies are separate entities.
Eyes in Rochester is a full-service ophthalmology office, and we specialize in general ophthalmology, taking from childhood to adult and seniors. We do general eye exams. We specialize in cataract surgery, corneal surgery, and disease, as well as LASIK surgery. We also have a full-service optical shop and contact lens fitting service.
Visit Eyes on Rochester at 1157 Fairport Road.
Radio Free New York.
All right, welcome back to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister, and we're talking about security theater versus reality. So what I'm going to bring up is a story that you guys have undoubtedly heard about already. If you haven't heard about it, it's on like every mainstream media outlet. And I don't normally talk about things on mainstream media because I try to give you guys fresh things that the media is avoiding. But this I think is really important, and I think it's extremely relevant. And this is a shooting that happened down in White Settlement, Texas at West Freeway Church of Christ. And I want to just give you guys the background, what happened here, because I think this is really important, because what they had was actual security, reality, not security theater. So I'll just kind of tell you guys what happened. A man came into this church. I don't believe they've released his name as of yet. If they have, they must have released it very recently, because I didn't see it this morning. He sat down, for the church service. He got up, had a discussion with somebody, pulled out a shotgun, which is not a small weapon by any means, and opened fire.
Wasn't it sawed off or something? Wasn't it?
It looked pretty small.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a full, over under or something like that. But small enough that he concealed it and brought it into the church. Within 6 seconds of this guy opening fire, 2 volunteer armed security guards, I guess is what you could call them, shot and killed this guy who was trying to murder people in this church. Mm-hmm. Within 6 seconds, this situation was put to rest.
Yeah. Now, just imagine yourself in that church, and all of a sudden you see this unfolding. You're not armed, and you pull out your cell phone and you dial 911. Mm-hmm. Before the phone is answered, this incident is over.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Before you could probably unlock your phone, depending on how complex your PIN is.
Exactly.
You unlock it, your hands are shaking. You try to, press the thing to open your phone and start dialing 911. It's done. And, I was trying to find the police response time to this type of incident in the area, and I couldn't find anything specific to this town. But what I did find is what Dallas had reported last year in 2018, and they reported for priority 1 calls a slightly over 8-minute response time.
That's fast too,
and that sounds exceptionally fast. And I saw a couple studies that I didn't have a chance to verify that said that number did not line up at all with call recordings.
Yeah, typical practice.
Yeah, they've had instances where it's taken well over an hour to get to priority 1 calls.
Listen, the police do a great job for the most part. They're very responsive. They're there to protect you and your lives and your well-being and your kids. They're fantastic. Love the police. But in situations like this, when seconds count, the police are just minutes away.
Yeah.
And they just can't be everywhere at once.
No, they can't. And they're humans. They're people just like us, right?
Well, there's also distance. I mean, they can't teleport themselves. No. They have to drive there. They have to get through traffic, even with their sirens. And so it's just, again, what's proven here is the best solution to a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. And just look at what happened in Putnam County maybe 3-4 weeks ago. That 911 center was tied up with phone calls. They couldn't even dispatch police. They couldn't even take calls. So what if in your time of crisis, something like that is happening? You can't even get a hold of 911. It could be hours. So, who knows how many lives were saved? There was 242 people in that church. That's just a lot of lives.
Pick the number that you like. And by the way, as long as we're talking about violence, we know that, of course, in the aftermath of this, there's going to be the inevitable reactionary calls for gun control as a result of this.
Yeah.
But let me just also point out that you just mentioned downstate New York.
Yep.
Over the weekend, we had an anti-Semitic attack where some head case breaks into a rabbi's house on the which day of Hanukkah is it? I can't remember.
I don't recall, but they were having a celebration.
Day, but they're having a celebration, and this guy starts slashing people. So 5 people were stabbed. Where are the calls for knife control?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and here's the difference, and I'm glad you brought this story up because I did want to compare and contrast them. Here's the difference. Took the police 2 full hours to find this guy, assuming that they have the right one. You look at Texas, they got the right guy, in 6 seconds.
Yeah.
And, so there's a huge difference here. And that's why I want to talk about this idea of government security theater. Because you know what the FBI said about the guy in Texas? He's not on a watch list. Wasn't on the radar, not as a person who, was potentially prone to violence. None of that. But this person had already committed a number of other crimes. And clearly, they were a dangerous person, clearly not in the right state of mind, because I don't think people in the right state of mind go out and kill people. And yet he was walking around a free person who took these violent acts out against other people. And that's security theater. The idea that background checks and watch lists and that sort of thing are going to protect us. They're not. It's all theater.
That's right. And one important thing also to point out here is there was recent legislation in Texas, and I'm not exactly sure what this legislation said, but basically it enables or decriminalizes or it's permissive of the carrying of concealed carry weapons in churches, because they've had a history of shootings down there. So this was pursuant to a state law enabling this kind of situation to happen, legitimizing this kind of situation.
Yeah.
So that's exactly the opposite. Notice this, folks. Exactly the opposite of a gun-free zone, which is basically like putting a sign up on the outside of your church, your school, your business that says, "Come kill us."
Yeah. Yeah. And I bet that this person thought this was going to be a soft target. I bet they did not think that there was going to be any resistance. I don't know. The report could come out and show that this person was suicidal or something. I don't know. But I would be willing to believe and currently believe that this guy thought, well, what's a pretty safe place to get away with this? A church. Probably nobody's carrying it.
That's what they look for. They don't want to encounter resistance, so they will seek out a gun-free zone. Does anybody get the logic of this?
Yeah. Well, and this, I think, brings up a very important topic about unarmed schools. We're making schools into prisons. We're putting bulletproof glass on them. We're putting metal detectors in there with airport scanners and all this security, unarmed security, when the only thing that's going to keep people alive is somebody who can stop that person with a gun if they go in and shoot up a school. And everybody wants to demand action. How are we going to fix this? I'll tell you how you fix it. You put armed people in school. Now, is that the teachers? Maybe, maybe not. Is that Army veterans who are looking for a job? Maybe, maybe not. Each community can decide separately what they think is the right answer. But I'll tell you what I think the right answer is. People knowing that there's armed security in schools and not knowing who that armed security is.
There you go.
Because then it could be one person or it could be 100 teachers. And if you don't know, you're probably not going to risk it. And that's just human psychology. If you have no idea who that person is with a firearm who's going to stop you on your evil rampage, chances are you're going to look for somewhere else or just maybe not do it.
It's common sense.
Yeah. All right, guys, you're listening to Radio Free New York. When we come back from the break, we're going to compare the Texas situation to New York State and talk about how legislation's making people puts them in a victim mentality. I think that's the best way to put it. We'll be back in a moment on Radio Free New York.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Aircraft Environmental Systems proudly supports Radio Free New York. Rochester-based leaders in climate simulation chambers for America's R&D laboratories. We're experts in troubleshooting, calibrations, custom designs, and consulting for more than 40 years. Industry pioneers, we created the first ever fleet of temperature, humidity, and altitude test chambers available to rent coast to coast. Trained and trusted by environmental chamber manufacturers, we are ACES. Find us at acesinc.com.
Human trafficking is when someone is being forced, tricked, or coerced to engage in a sex trade or forced labor. If you're a kid and forced to sell sex, drugs, or work against your will, that's trafficking. You're not a criminal, and there is help available. Call the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 888-373-7888 or text Be Free. Sponsored by the Livingston County Safe Harbors Human Trafficking Task Force.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Radio Free New York.
All right, we are back here on Radio Free New York. We are talking about security theater versus reality. And I think we have a really good comparison between these two events. They happened in two different states. You know, we've got Texas, we've got New York State, but both happened, kind of around religious figures. And we've got a pretty deep contrast in legislation between these two states. You know, we've got Texas, which, a lot of people think Texas is got a lot of gun rights. It has an okay amount. There's states that are much better, but I think that Texas name, everybody thinks they're super free. They still have some gun regulation in Texas, but versus New York, which has got to be the most stringent in the nation.
Soon to be surpassed by Virginia, though. If that state house passes that loopy law that Governor Blackface wants to.
That's true. Virginia may actually pass us up. I don't know. I don't think Cuomo will let that happen. I think he'll pull some extra legislation out of his back pocket and ram it through just to say, we have the most gun control.
Well, not for nothing, but also the state of Virginia, the proposed SAFE Act that they want is in trouble because there's already, widespread sanctuary status being voted in, I believe, as of this morning, all 95 counties in the state.
Oh, really?
All 95 counties.
Wow.
Now, they also have these autonomous 38 areas, which are their There's cities that are like a political entity in and of themselves.
Interesting.
Separate and apart and apparently these areas are not included in counties. It's a weird thing.
Like districts?
They're kind of like districts or territories.
Okay.
But it's a strange thing. But in any case, all the counties are saying, nah, you know what? We're not going to do it. Northam's talking about mustering the National Guard, and I think that's not going to happen.
No, I don't think so either. And, if you want more information about that, we do have a Virginia show. I think it's called, like, What's Going On in Virginia, and then SB 1618. And, so you can search that. I'll try to link in the YouTube video for you guys as well. There's a lot going on in Virginia, and you guys should know what's going on there. So what's going on here is in New York, we've got this guy who breaks into Rabbi Rottenberg's house in Monsey, New York. I'm guessing that must be near New York City.
Monsey, it's in Rockland County.
Okay.
So it's like the next county over here from Westchester.
Okay. Yeah. So we might consider that downstate. I don't know.
Oh, it's definitely downstate. I used to live there. It's downstate.
So they've got this Hanukkah celebration going on. This guy breaks in and starts stabbing people. He stabs 5 people, gets away. It takes the police 2 hours to locate him and arrest him. What happens? He pleads not guilty. What follows that? His family makes a statement saying he has a long history of mental illness and hospitalizations, and his attorney has been now seeking immediate mental health evaluations. And none of us know where this is going to go, but chances are this person could walk, into a mental facility for a few years.
Well, he won't walk. He'll be incarcerated until he's able to stand trial.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying, like, at the end of this trial, if the plea goes through as, mental health, there's a possibility that he won't serve real jail time for this. He may, in fact, go to a facility and spend time getting rehabilitation instead.
Well, it'll be as good as. I mean, because it'll be a secure facility that he can't leave. So it's basically the equivalent of jail.
A little bit nicer than jail, though.
Well, the jails, a lot of jails are pretty nice these days.
But I guess the point that I'm trying to make here is 2 hours versus 6 seconds.
Yeah, right? They found him. Well, and the way they found him was a license plate reader on the George Washington Bridge. So George Washington Bridge is quite a distance from Monsey, folks.
Yeah. So this guy versus the Texas situation, where somebody opened fire in a church, and within 6 seconds, a volunteer security person shot and killed this guy who was trying to murder people. Here in New York, 5 people get stabbed, and it takes 2 hours. And I as I'm reading through these articles, there are a bunch of Jewish people standing up and talking about how there have been a lot of anti-Semitic attacks on their community, and they're scared. And I want to share with you guys what one or two of them said. This girl is 24 years old, and she says that she doesn't feel safe. She's starting to go for self-defense courses. And then this other person says, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start carrying around scissors as a weapon and take a karate class. And this is the mentality that New York State is starting to surround people with, that you can't carry a firearm to protect yourself because laws like the SAFE Act, our pistol permit process, all of that make it too difficult. And we've built this anti-gun culture in New York State where people think it's scary, it's dangerous. And to be honest, they try to make it into it's only a police officer thing, only law enforcement, only military. So now we have civilians afraid for their lives. And they're thinking the answer is they're going to carry around a pair of scissors.
Right. Well, they're being lied to. They've been lied to now, and the kids are being lied to in school about the dangers of gun ownership and the general population having firearms. Yeah. But I just want to make another point here before it gets lost. There have been a lot, you referenced to, there have been a lot of anti-Semitic attacks. Mm-hmm. We had the kosher grocery shooting a few weeks ago in New York. Now we have this rabbi's home being invaded. This, ladies and gentlemen, know your history. Anti-Semitic attacks are the canary in the coal mine for advancing totalitarianism in the world. Every time authoritarianism is on the march, is on the advance. Like when Nazi Germany was marching across Europe, taking over territory. What happened with the onset of the Soviet Union in 1917, the Bolshevik Revolution, always pushed before it anti-Semitic violence. Always.
Yeah. No, that's
goes back hundreds of years.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And so here we are, two different states, but two similar attacks. I wouldn't draw too many parallels to them. But the difference being a good guy with a gun there to protect people and to stop a bad person with a weapon with ill intent, to harm and kill people. And we've got a difference here of 6 seconds and 2 hours. And I'll tell you what, the thing that stopped the guy in Texas was not laws, it wasn't jail time, it wasn't a gun-free zone, it was a good guy with a gun. And, I think that the people of New York need to be really honest with themselves about the security theater that government is putting on. This show that, this legislation is going to make you safer. These, these background checks, they're going to make you safer. We have the strongest laws in the land. It means nothing. It means nothing.
Well, and another point needs to be made, too, and that is if you think that a gun is going to make you safe, wrong. Mm-hmm. A gun is not. The gun is the tool, the implementation of your adopting a sense of responsibility about your safety and the safety of your family. So you get the gun, okay, that's all right. But you need to learn to use the gun. You need to be trained, and you need to own and have that firearm in a responsible way. What that means is that you have regular time at the range to hone your skills.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because a gun is really just a piece of machinery. That's all it is. In the right hands, if you train with it, they are very safe and can be an equalizer and protect you, your family, your loved ones, and strangers too, if the need ever arises. I hope that nobody listening to the show ever is actually in that situation, because it's got to be a traumatizing situation. But I would rather you be in that situation and be in the position to defend yourself and others than be in the situation where you're calling the police moments before somebody tries to take your life. And I think that, they say chance favors the prepared mind. You have the opportunity to become prepared, but it can't be, just like Bob said, you can't just go to the store, buy a firearm, and let it collect dust and cat hair. You need to train with it. You need to understand how to be safe with it, how to take it to the range. I tell you what, this weekend when I went to that course, I hadn't been to the range for a while. It showed in the beginning of the course.
Oh, yeah. You get a lot of humility out of that experience.
Yep. And I was like, wow, I used to be a much better shot. And that's why I went to the range the next day, because I knew I could be better.
Learn not to shoot yourself.
Yep.
Learn not to shoot your car.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you for joining me on Radio Free New York. We'll be back in the same time, same place tomorrow.